The night I told my family I was going to be a documentary filmmaker, the room filled with a sharp, uneasy laughter that bounced between the cracked wallpaper and the cold tile floor, making the entire dining room shiver. My little sister's eyes widened and darted to our mother, who sat at the end of the table, her jaw tight. The aroma of roast chicken lingered, but nobody seemed interested in eating anymore. Tio Ernesto clapped his palms together loudly and shook his head, his voice echoing with exaggerated disbelief. Documentaries, Lucia, really, que locura, making films about what, stray dogs on Corrientes? The way he smirked at me, he seemed to expect everyone would break into applause. My mother narrowed her gaze. You should finish your accounting courses, Lucia. Filmmaking is for people with connections or money. She pushed a slice of bread around her plate, words slow and deliberate. Papa, from his spot nearest the kitchen door, grunted. And how do you plan to live? He didn't look at me. You moving to Hollywood with 2 pesos and a camera phone. My hands trembled under the table. I could feel the rough grain of the old wood pressing into my palms. I steadied my breathing and met their stares. I won't live here my whole life talking about accounting or insurance. I want to tell real stories. Their laughter prickled every part of me, my cheeks burned. These were the people who taught me to ride a bike, who patched my scraped knees. But suddenly I felt like a stranger, as if I'd told them I was running away to join a circus. My abuela, who barely spoke but watched everything, finally cleared her throat. It's not a job, Lucia, it's a hobby. You need stability. I gripped my glass of water tightly, cold spreading through my fingertips. Defiance flickered in my chest. It is a job for the people who don't give up. No one replied. Dishes clattered dully as the meal limped on, silent. That night in the cramped bedroom I'd shared with my sister since I was 8, I sat with my knees drawn to my chest and watched the strip of city-lights through the iron-barred window. I didn't sleep, my whole body trembled with humiliation and rage. I kept hearing the word hobby repeated again and again, echoing off the uneven plaster walls. I resented them for laughing, for making me small. But I resented myself more for being afraid. I kept going anyway. I took my mother's old Nikon, found ways to barter for real tapes and digital cards. Days I worked at the bakery on Avenida de Mayo, inhaling sweet scents of medialunas and bread as I slipped coins into my pocket. Nights I filmed, street performers, taxi drivers, the homeless couple who slept beneath the green awnings in Plaza Dorrego. I listened, learned, failed, I filmed everything. The more I filmed, the louder the mocking became. Neighbors in our building asked if I was making a movie for YouTube. My sister, with unkind teenage honesty, told her friends I was being weird again. Papa started introducing me at family gatherings as our little Spielberg, the sarcasm as thick as the Molager at his Sunday asados. I almost cracked after my second year at the bakery. My mother's voice had grown softer, but all the sharper for it. You're wasting the best years of your life, Lucia, she said as she kneaded dough one morning, not meeting my eyes. You could be married, have a proper job, be someone. Wasn't I someone? I wanted to ask, just for existing. The city outside groaned as buses idled and dog walkers shuffled through puddles. I felt invisible. When I landed a spot in a short film contest run by a friend of a friend, I didn't tell anyone. I submitted my first attempt at a documentary, 10 minutes following the mourning of an aging tango singer in San Telmo. The jury called my film uneven, too sentimental, amateurish, but they also called it promising. For the first time, I heard something in my work that felt like a pulse. Every moment outside my family's apartment became a battlefield. I paid for classes with leftover bakery tips, ate empanadas from street vendors too cheap to fail government health checks, and learned to patch my own shoes with bottle glue. I stopped hoping for any kind of encouragement from home. Still, I persisted. I cultivated friendships at the faculty, traded editing for borrowed sound equipment, and crashed on couches when transit workers went on strike. I let the city's sweat and struggle soak into the images I was collecting. I watched sunsets from slick stone steps in Puerto Madero, searched faces in the dim light of subway stations, and believed, desperately, wildly, that my work mattered. 6 years after that family dinner, my knees shaking and palms clammy, I pressed submit on my feature-length film for the Buenos Aires Cine Documental Festival. The documentary followed 3 generations of women working at the same textile factory in once. The matriarch who survived the dictatorship, her daughter fighting for labor rights, and her granddaughter questioning what home even meant in a changing city. Women I now called friends let me sit in their kitchens, film them hunched over sewing machines, and cry as they recounted endless struggles. Their trust was something more precious than any award. The competition was fierce, well-funded films, big production companies, international directors. I waited 3 months. I stopped sleeping. The day the list came out, I stood in a stuttering rain outside a locutorio, cell phone trembling as I scanned the festival's website. My name, Lucia Garcia, my film Tres Hinchas, was not only accepted, but selected to close the entire festival. I was 30 and for once I didn't feel like running. Invitations were mailed in heavy white envelopes, a formality, the kind my family never received. The festival's final screening would be hosted at the Teatro San Martin. I watched the emails pour in, critics who wanted to talk, old classmates who suddenly remembered me, an editor from New York asking if I'd considered distribution. The city buzzed louder than ever. That Sunday I decided my family would see it for themselves. I arrived at my parents' apartment late afternoon. The sun striped the kitchen counters in gold and dust. My mother was baking pastries for the bakery, I guessed, and stopped only when she saw the invitation in my trembling hand. She frowned at it, trying to decipher the neat print, then shot a glance at me. A film screening at San Martin. Papa, sitting by the radio, adjusted his reading glasses and squinted. "What are you up to now, Lucius?" My heart hammered, but I forced myself to stand tall. My film was selected to close the Buenos Aires Cine Documental Festival. I want you all to come. Please. I watched their faces flicker with confusion, suspicion, something like surprise. I'd sent hundreds of applications in all the directions they disapproved of, but I'd never before invited them to the result. My sister, taller than me now, hovered near the kitchen doorway. "So you're famous." "I'm a filmmaker," I said quietly, "a real one." I left the invitation on the kitchen table and left before they could answer. The week dragged by. Every morning my stomach knotted as I waited for a message that never came. Maybe they'd come, maybe not. I tried to focus on my preparations, press packets, interviews, final sound checks, but my thoughts always snapped back to that heavy white envelope sitting on the kitchen table back home. The night of the screening, I stood behind the stage curtains, knees sinking sharply into the wooden floor. The theater buzzed. The place was packed. Critics, students, strangers murmured and shifted in their seats. I spotted the women from once in the front row. Their faces glowed with pride. Then in the soft light near the back, I saw my family. Papa in his best grey jacket, Mama sitting rigid, lips pursed, my sister trailing behind, eyes wide. Even Abuela, small and wrinkled, gripping a big purse. Something heavy loosened in my chest. They'd come. An usher led me down the aisle. Murmurs rippled. I caught snatches of Papa's nervous whispers. "She really did this." "In this place," my mother brushed lint off her blouse, clutching Mama's invitation like a ticket she wasn't sure she should own. As my film started, a hush fell. Images of the factory snapped onto the giant screen, all the careful shots I'd stitched together over years of doubt and exhaustion. The scrape of sewing machines, the laughter and exhaustion of the workers, the quiet rebellion of women fighting for dignity. My voiceover, trembling but clear, told their stories as honestly as I could. I watched my mother, seated stiffly at first, uncross her arms as the story unfolded. Papa leaned forward, jaw slack, eyes wide as he watched the granddaughter describe her hunger to break out and become someone. My sister's mouth formed a small O when the oldest woman, a mirror of Abuela, spoke tearfully about coming home each night to a place that barely recognized her. Quiet, honest tears streaked my family's faces. Every wrinkle in Papa's brow seemed to smooth as he watched. After the credits rolled and the house lights flickered, applause crackled through the packed auditorium. My heart thudded with every clap. Reporters crowded near the entrance. The film's subjects met me with tears and fierce hugs. For the first time I let myself feel it, something other than fear, something like pride. As people shuffled out, I found my family near the lobby's marble pillar. My mother gripped my hands, shaking. "I didn't know, you really did this, Lucia." Papa pulled me into a clumsy, awkward hug. "You made all this alone." I nodded, unable to speak. My throat felt thick. My sister wiped her tears with her sleeve, trying to mask a shy smile. "Your name's on the poster, up there with the big ones." Abuela, usually quiet, leaned in close. Her eyes, dark and watery, found mine. "Sometimes what seems foolish is only ahead of its time, Mija." I squeezed her hand. For the first time in years, the word home didn't ache. When the evening wound down, I stepped outside onto the Avenida Corrientes. Neon spilled across the pavement, mingling with the laughter and arguments of midnight crowds. Above me, my name glowed in soft white lettering on the theater marquee. My breath fogged in the autumn air. My family joined me there, shoulders brushing mine, standing close. It was the same city, but everything had changed. Papa looked up at the marquee and whistled, low and grateful. Your mother and I, he began, but stopped. He didn't have to finish. I remembered the years of humiliation, the way my voice would catch at family dinners, the loneliness of trying and failing and trying again. I remembered the way their laughter made my heart stutter. But here now the proof shone down on us all, concrete, undeniable, bright enough to shift the shadows. My dream had grown roots through cracked sidewalks, outlasting every doubt. We walked together down Corrientes, the festival crowds pouring past, and for the first time I moved beside them, not as someone strange or foolish, but as myself. Not above them, never above, but with them. A daughter, a sister, a granddaughter, and finally, a filmmaker.